Hello there. Isn't it wonderful? The WHO is putting together a global health passport based on the EU model. Oh, what a joyous day, I hear you cry. The WHO has come to our rescue with their vision of a global health passport based on the European Union model. The WHO released a joint press statement with the EU yesterday announcing their collaboration on this wonderful new initiative. This is the first building block of the WHO Global Digital Health Certification Network, GDHCN, that will develop a wide range of digital products to deliver better health for all, they proudly declared. All designed to fill the gap and provide a system that can prove the provenance of a traveller's health documentation in order to prove that traveller is up to date with any mandatory medications, or not. And the WHO says the first building block of this system becomes operational this month. The WHO Director General Dr. Tedros said, "Building on the EU's highly successful digital certification network, WHO aims to offer all its member states access to an open-source digital health tool which is based on the principles of equity, innovation, transparency and data protection and privacy." And this is not just an EU thing, it is global. Here's more from the WHO, keeping you safe around the world. To help strengthen global health preparedness in the face of growing health threats, WHO is establishing a global digital health certification network which builds upon the solid foundations of the EU DCC framework, principles and open technologies. With this collaboration, WHO will facilitate this process globally under its own structure, with the aim to allow the world to benefit from convergence of digital certificates. Convergence for everyone, so don't worry, it will be coming to the UK in a jiffy. Otherwise, our betters won't be able to proceed on their jaunts abroad and visit their second or third homes, because one assumes no certificate, no travel. But how could that apply to irregular migration and asylum seekers? Will those without health passports be exempt? Or will there be UN workers everywhere, on hand to ensure they all have the latest updates and all the in-date documentation they need? Will they be there on our beaches, ready to help? And if another health emergency suddenly springs up, the WHO can add the new procedures to the list that you have to take before you can travel. Hey, you could also use them internally to make people stay indoors unless they're up to date, to keep the unmedicated out of shopping centres or cinemas or hospitals until they comply, or even have them sacked from their jobs. Isn't it wonderful to see so much persistence in getting this global system up and running in the face of many concerns and objections? They really are on our side, aren't they? Now this will tell you exactly where Keir Starmer's Labour Party stands on net zero, because the Telegraph reports today that they have hired Extinction Rebellion's former top lawyer to help them. And Tobias Garnett, who helped get the ban on the eco group protesting in London lifted and got 1,000 cases against them dropped, now works for the Labour Climate Shadow Secretary Ed Miliband. The Labour Party will send this country spiralling into an era of total energy dependence on foreign states, as Starmer shuts down the North Sea, or more likely sentences the elderly and vulnerable to a hellish future during the first winter he's in charge, while opening the doors as wide as possible to all newcomers, who will also need lots of energy as well. You think petrol, diesel, gas and electricity have been expensive recently? Well, it's about to get a lot worse, even if he does use taxpayer money to buy it in and pretend it's therefore free. Oh, and the eco protests will get much more frequent and much more intrusive into your life as well, as will the strikes. Because the eco-loons will not stop just because they've got Labour in their pocket. They will want to double down on victory. And it won't just be the likes of Just Stop Oil. All the anti-meat and anti-milk nutters will be queuing up to take charge of Labour policy there. All while the unions will be dictating business and economic policy. Keir Starmer is ready to shut the country down and be the one that switches off the last light. Probably while on his way to Davos for his next ream of WEF instructions. You need to get this info out or we'll all be looking at a very bleak future indeed for the UK. But things are no better in Toryland. They might not hire eco-loons, but we've already seen how devout they are to the net zero cause and how devout they are to the welcoming of those taking advantage of irregular migration. But they're also right now overseeing a collapse in house building, whilst accepting a net 500,000 new people every year. The Times reports that house building has nosedived at its fastest pace since the first stay-at-home orders were issued 3 years ago. And there are now stark indications that there are severe headwinds coming that could cool construction activity even further. But we'll still be happily waving all comers in for years to come. The two main parties are just cheeks of the same cheeky thing. They achieve the same devastating outcome for the country, but just do it in a slightly different way. We vote for them at the nation's peril, and at our peril. Richard.
Former New Zealand dictator, Jacinda Ardern has been made a dame. Yes, she is now the Grand Companion. Yes, she's a Grand Companion. Grand Companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit because of her leadership during the global health emergency. I think it's so good to see the state recognising her for not falling at the first hurdle. Nay, I am sure most of you will be ecstatic at the news of her ascension in the King's birthday honours. And we all wish her the very best after her selfless contribution to pushing forward the agenda. Yes, I'm absolutely ecstatic, just like you are. It's funny how people who imprisoned and poisoned us now move on with their lives after the damage they have done. It just goes to show how quickly people forget the names of such people. I mean, where is Boris Johnson? Where is he? I mean, we hear occasionally of him, but why is there little to no focus on his part in destroying this country? Ah, well, it must mean that they are free to go about their business whilst we are left to pick up the pieces of our lives. And the establishment will make sure that is how it shall remain. In Jeff's video earlier today, he spoke about the excess coincidences still being stubbornly high, yet no mention in the mainstream news. These coincidences have been going on for far too long, but the establishment will reward their players and cast a shroud of silence over the passing of over 1,000 people a week. 1,000 people leaving us. 1,000 people more than should have left us. Where are our chief scientific and chief medical officers when you need them? Or do they only get wheeled out onto podiums for specific health conditions? Maybe some fatalities are more important than others. You know, I've read so many heartbreaking and gut-wrenching comments by many of you who have lost loved ones suddenly from causes that I cannot go into. And it's one of the things that spurs Jeff and myself on, because we do feel a sense of responsibility when it comes to reporting on these excess coincidences. And each and every one of you is more than a commenter. Many of you are people who are dealing with sudden loss, and we will continue to report on these things for as long as we are allowed to. Anyway, What do you lot think about what has been said in today's video? Leave your joy and your grievances in the comment section below. And don't forget to tune into Jeff's midday video tomorrow, and we will both see you again then following in the evening at about 7 p.m. God bless.